Aaron Sorkin's acclaimed adaptation of Harper Lee's much-loved classic not only preserves the heart of the story, but throws a spotlight on the big themes that have a contemporary resonance. Sorkin has also, with this stage version of To Kill a Mockingbird, amplified the voices of significant black characters. This has presented opportunities for the black members of cast which they have not taken lightly. We now hear from 3 members of the West End production as they discuss the power and potential of this show, both on stage and off, and the lessons it affords us all.
What was your expectations before coming into this role as Tom Robinson?
I'd read about the play surrounding it. I'd watched loads of interviews of Aaron and especially Benga. And coming into rehearsals, I remember like yesterday, I felt so intellectually prepared for the topic, the subject, the emotions. And then very, very quickly, actually, I tell a lie, it was even in the photo shoot. We did the photo shoot, I think, in December or early January, and I saw Pamela, and it just dawned on me that actually this is something really, it's going to be something that's really tough. Because when I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad to see you, so grateful that you're here.
I was too, yeah.
And you were saying you're grateful, and it got me thinking like, gosh, this is going to be something that we're going to have to hold each other through.
Wow. Did you then?
You're excited you got the part. You're excited you're going to be part of the show. So there's that energy. So yeah, my expectations come into it. I was like, whoa, it's going to be great. Challenging role, wonderful character, exploring all these topics of dignity, of strength, different types of strength. Because before I was playing characters that were like strong men characters who are active and showing their strength, you know? And Tom Robinson was a character that was a different kind of strength.
Yeah.
A strength that I don't think I'd normally associate with even the word strength. Kindness, generosity, empathy. And that word dignity was something that I was coming into rehearsals intellectually trying to explore and unpack, and then you get into doing the play, and early on you're talking about when you're performing and something off stage happens and that can affect you, the individual, which obviously affects you as the character. And I was saying that's happened to me so many times during the trial scene, and every time it happens I just feel like I'll get this little clutch gear in me that says, that's how Tom feels. Like, this is the whatever we feel in that small micro moments. This is Calpurnia and Tom's reality every single day, and they have no means to readdress. They can't speak out. They can't kiss their teeth. They can't do anything. They can't even show any level of reaction. It feels like you have a scab or a plaster, and the show starts, you rip it, and the wound is there, and you just, show finishes, you seal it back and you go. It's the only way I've found to deal with it.
And you know, it's so interesting being an actor, isn't it? Because it's weird how you just can cut certain things out and you just hone in on the one thing that speaks to you, isn't it? So I was just completely pulled in by Calpurnia, because I thought, hey, I remember playing this role very early in my career in a seriously racist version. Oh my God. And I remember coming out of that and going, I can never play this role or roles like this ever again. I'm just not gonna do it. So to have Calpurnia creeping back into my life, and I'm going, oh my God, so that's what she sounds like? That's what... Thinking of the book, I thought, yes, they describe her as this iconic character. She kind of was to me, but I thought, actually, for me, she wasn't as present as people say she was. Because when people are talking about the book, they're going, you know, especially people the white people who have read the book. They're always saying, but Calpurnia, I mean, that character, she's so wonderful, and I've never forgotten her. And I thought, that's so weird, because when I read the book, she, I understood that she was an integral part of the family, if you like, and her dynamics in terms of her community. But to be honest, she wasn't forefront in my mind. I thought, she's not that present. And then, of course, the movie, non-existent.
Yeah.
So I just thought, okay, because I go to that place, and I thought if I looked at it from a sort of spiritual standpoint, I was like, this woman she needs to speak. And as I've played her before, maybe this is my opportunity. Maybe there's some way I can heal. And, since then, I've thought maybe we're healing each other. I don't know. And what she had to say, I just found it really poignant, because I thought, she's hardly in it, but when she's there, she speaks.
Yeah.
And I remember even doing that first scene, which is sort of light. But man, I remember the first day rehearsing that scene, I actually went home and I wept, because I thought, this hurts. And this is crazy, because I understand where this woman has to get to. So why am I feeling like this here?
Right.
Isn't this meant to be sort of the light? Do you know what I mean? And then, like you said, as I started to unpack that, I thought, well, it's never light for Calpurnia and Tom.
Yeah.
I mean, what were your expectations?
Well, yeah, I was coming at it from an understudy and obviously first cover perspective, but ultimately, obviously, as playing Tom Robinson as well, I'd never read the book. So for me,
It's good.
and I did not, and I've said it from day one, I've said it. I don't like this play. I don't like it. I don't like it for the obvious reason of what it stands for. And so I watched the movie. That's the one thing I did do. I watched the movie, and that kind of reminded me, again, why I didn't like this play. But I also kind of gave myself enough room to do because it's our reality. So there is not, you don't need to prepare for something you live through every single day. So for me, I was like, okay, let me try and come with this in an angle that's not as kind of already in a state of weakness and kind of, negativity.
Right.
Let me come at it and see how things unfold. And as you guys have said very eloquently, it is very you can't know how things will be until you start to go through the motions. So for me, like I think so when I saw you and I knew that you were playing it,
Yeah.
I didn't know you at the time,
No.
but obviously we're brothers now. I knew for a fact that, okay, even though I am alone in going through this journey, I'm also not alone because of our past experience or because of some sort of connection and because of the unity that this collectively brings us towards to. And that gave me hope because I knew, okay, yes, I might go through this journey as Tom Robinson by myself, but we're equivalently, as you said, holding hands. Because that support is the thing that has kept and keeps us going even now. The one thing that we didn't expect, and I didn't expect, was to have a culture coordinator. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
Culture coordinator, which I thought was brilliant because for me, I was like, okay, good. So I don't have to explain things. I don't need to feel in a kind of awkward moment to take that responsibility upon myself or us to take it upon ourselves to tell, the people that are not white, that, this is how it is, And I don't need to also explain how I'm feeling or get in that compromised kind of position where you then feel awkwardly, oh, okay, now I have to work with you, oh, do you know what I mean?
It sort of felt like it gave you a buffer, didn't it?
Exactly.
Somebody to,
And I think that was quite important because without that, I honestly don't even think we would have gone through that first phase because it allowed us to speak about the use of the N-word. It allows us, it set boundaries. How much boundaries? Obviously, that's up for discussion, but it was a starting point.
I mean, I also really, listening to you talk, I thought, gosh, when I first read the script, my initial sensation was, I don't want to play Tom Robinson as a victim. That was very, very important. Even all the way through the auditions I'm talking about, I was like, obviously this guy is in a very compromised position.
Yeah.
And I guess the journey through rehearsal, journey through performance is understanding how this person isn't a victim and how not to play it as a victim.
Yeah.
And how before, whatever I would associate with victim doesn't translate here. And that thing about strength, that wonderful line in the play where he says strength and violence aren't synonyms, they're opposite. That was such a groundbreaking line for me because I was like, everything I think of what strength is, isn't strength. Or isn't, there are many versions of strength.
Right.
And that victim narrative, I was like, that just, I can't, Calpurnia's not a victim.
Yeah.
No,
definitely.
Yeah, they are not.
They're not victims. They're being victimized.
Correct, yeah.
But they're not victims.
Yeah.
And in Tom's silence, he's not a victim. In his repeat of the phrase that eventually ends up getting him killed, that's an active, powerful, strong move.
Absolutely.
And it's also the truth.
Yeah.
What is wrong with telling the truth? There is nothing like, this is a Christian man that wanted to help another person. Love thy neighbor as thyself. He didn't see color, as he said. He doesn't hate white people.
Hate white people.
So he just wanted to help someone who happened to live close by, who needed the help.
Remember the early days when audiences would come in and then people from the global majority, a lot of them were saying, this play is not for us. This play is not for us. And I remember freaking out when the first person said that to me because internally I crumbled because I thought, whoa, if you're saying that, this is painful. I've got 11 months to go, right? And if you're saying this is not for us, then wait, I'm gonna have to question why I'm doing this now. Because I actually had a conversation with myself and believed that it was really important to hear Calpurnia's voice, to hear the voices of those people that were living under the Jim Crow laws, and to bring the parallels of that to today, to say the problem is nothing's changed.
Yes.
It's just dressed differently.
Yes.
So, I was thinking, what? But if you're saying this is not for us, I flipped because I thought, so why are we there every night, breaking our souls, we're falling apart, But what has, that thing that you were saying about going, okay, as a performer, my job is not to tell people to wake up. And for me, ironically, I've had a wake-up call because I am suddenly going, I get it. I know what you mean when you say this play is not for us. I now am going, okay, because, and I think that came about a lot with the therapy session, because getting to that point of just going, I remember falling into Hannah's arms, one of the stage managers, and saying, that's it. And I remember she was holding me that day and she said, oh my God, Pamela, breathe, come on. And I was like, I can't, that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing this. I can't go on. And she said, okay, just breathe and just relax. And I thought, I can't, but I definitely think I'm done. And then I went to the dressing room and I wrote to the management and I said, look, I've decided that I really can't go on unless we get help. We of the global majority in this cast are being traumatized night after night after night, and it's taking its toll. I feel like I need a doctor. I need help. So luckily, they did respond.
One of the most shocking things about this play for me is how well written it is in terms of like a narrative, slick Western show. It's a well-written piece of art. And one of the things about it is how you can have a line where a character racially abuses one person using the N-word, and then 3, 4, 5 lines later, it's written
There's
where
a joke.
there's a joke
There's a
in
joke,
there.
yeah.
And depending on how, it's played or whatever, even when it's not played for a laugh, which often I'm not saying it is, the audience laugh.
Yeah.
And I remember very quick, like early on, like obviously when the show starts and it's, first couple of nights, you're still feeling it. You're feeling it. And when you've done it for a month, you're like, wait, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are they laughing?
Yeah.
Because I'm not laughing.
Yeah.
The people behind me in the global majority are not laughing. Like, they're not laughing. And the global majority in the audience I know aren't laughing. What is this laugh after the N-word? And it got me thinking, I was like, who's this for? Like, who's enjoying this so much? And I'm not saying people don't express emotions,
Of course, different ways.
Different ways,
Exactly.
someone can die horribly and people will giggle, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Knows.
But it's just interesting that every single time that happened, and then it got me thinking, what if we did this play and we substituted the N-word for a really homophobic word or really anti-Semitic word? How would you guys feel? Would you be laughing?
Would it
5
be
lines
this-
later? What is it about this N-word that
Allows you to be dismissive.
you've grown up with it, hearing it from the Serena. We've heard it so much that it's almost like it's become something else for some people.
Yeah.
For some people,
Exactly.
But for us, it's still
Raw. Even if you haven't experienced it directly, it affects you.
Yeah.
Even the young kids who have come, and it doesn't affect them directly. Many of them may not have been thrown that word, or they see it in music and it's all positive. It's got positive connotations.
To it, yeah.
But even there's been young people who have come from the global majority, and it's hurt. Because it's like, this is a historical assault.
Yeah.
That word is not just a word. And the thing is, we're the only ones that really feel it.
For me, the thing that's always registered, and I think this is where me being in the unique position I am, which is obviously being able to watch the show when I'm not playing Tom Robinson every night. So I've got that in-betweenness of being of the global majority, but also being in the scene to watch you do this and take, as you say, this terrorist attack all the time, happening every night. And ironically, even if it's a weird thing, but is that kind of muscle that when you are stretching and you're working those muscles and giving life to this character that obviously is snatched away from us, there's a certain strength, as you said, there's a different strength that you find each time you do it. But then to sit in a very uncomfortable bench, tight in the corner, careful not to trip one of the lead characters.
That's
careful
true.
not to, careful not to get in people's way and stuff like that. To be in a corner, but to also just keep your eyes open, keep your focus, pull the audience to give you this energy. It is so draining, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and that's where I think I've always come from in that this is not. Why am I going to watch something that's going to take away from me? You're meant to come to something that's going to give to you. And it's so just to add on to what you were saying earlier on.
that cell scene is, to be perfectly honest with you, I when I first read it, it didn't register the magnitude of that scene. And from doing it every night, I feel like that scene is put there to allow Atticus to not just look at Tom like everyone looks at Tom, but to see Tom.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
The whole trial is Tom being looked at.
Yes.
That scene is a moment where I think Aaron tries to have two people see each other.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's on the strength of that being seen by Tom, by Atticus, that Tom decides to go forward.
That's always the question.
Because, you know, the stakes are still there. His life is on the line, his children, his wife, all those things haven't changed.
Yeah.
And he still knows there's going to be an all-white jury, all-white judge, all-white prosecution. So the thing for me that I think that scene, artistically, for me, as Jude playing it, is that it has to be an exchange of two people seeing each other.
Beautifully put.
Yeah, no, that's really, yeah.
And obviously that scene isn't in the book and isn't in the film.
It's not. Yeah.
I see Capone as the voice of the community that, the you know, for the unspoken, and the strength and the joy and the freedom to hear speak. Go
Can I also just add to that, like the fact that it's a woman, a black woman.
Yes.
Because
Yes. Who's seen as an older sister, or kind of as a sister
in their thing, yeah.
In there,
but like the role of the black woman in so much of that history, like
Yeah, what she had to carry, what
they have
she's
to carry,
carrying,
what they do, you know, what they do for the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very incredible and powerful, important person.
She really is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
to you guys, she might just be your cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your family
but
help,
she
but
carries.
she's the anchor to so many of these things.
Yeah,
Completely.
absolutely.
And that, for me, that comes through.
And I think she's also incredibly courageous.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even though it's set up that, oh, well, in this house, they're really liberal,
Yeah.
so she can speak out. The reality is that it's still not that she can really, I mean, and the fact that she does that, she just feels, I have to.
Sometimes thinking of this role as a duty is one of the only reasons why sometimes I'm able to go on. Because it is so exhausting. It is so it requires, it sounds really sort of la-di-da-di, but it requires so much of yourself.
Yeah.
That a helpful way of approaching it is feeling like you're doing a service. And by that, for example, one of my processes is I look at this thing called the Innocence Project, which is a charity set up in the States where they work either pro bono or mostly for free for people who are incarcerated already on life or death penalty charges or whatever sentences. And they work to uncover the truth. And I'm constantly reading stories before the show, and you're hearing stories in 1985, in 2001, that are just like Tom Robinson's story.
Wow.
Where there's a poor defense lawyer initially, there's evidence that's being tampered with, there's coercion, there's corruption, there's all these things. And it just reminds me that this isn't just a piece of fiction.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility, or, you know, a responsibility to tell a truth that is happening. That it was just something that just had happened. It's something that is happening, continues to happen.
But I would say as an actor, to have the privilege of playing roles like Calpurnia is something that is very profound, and I will live with her for a long time. She is definitely a character that I mark and go, okay, this was an important story to tell. the story of Calpurnia was extremely important to tell in our society today. Because for me, I think it's always been like that for me, why am I an actor? Because I do want to have some influence on transforming our societies so that we just become better human beings, at the very least. Taking on plays like this, because in my mind, how is it that I'm able to go there and play her every night? It's because in my mind, she's an activist in her own way. Mm-hmm. It's important to tell important stories about our humanity. I think that's foremost in my mind. Yes. It's like just to remind ourselves that we're all human beings and let's respect one another and take care of one another. Yes. Yeah. We don't have to do this.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what I find so infuriating about this play is yet another show where a black person has to die for people to get empathy. It's like, because otherwise, you take Tom and Calpurnia away from this play and we don't have a play.
Yes.
True.
You just have nostalgia and whatever.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's the power of it. At least they're there.
Yeah.
And I think the power and the potential of a play like this is that I think it does allow us to have the space, to have the kinds of dialogues that we want as human beings to move forward. I also think it's not only a piece of material that educates your audiences, but it has educated us, as we've spoken about, in terms of being actors in this space, having to have the confidence to go to the managers, the producers, and express what is needed because you're on stage or you're telling the story and knowing the things that you need in order to do your job, basically. So I think it's given an agency to us as performers in a way that I've never known before. And I just feel that potentially this could become a template for other theatres to explore in their way.
The power, I agree with everything you said. The power for this play for me as well is it reminds me the power of theatre. That is very different from a museum piece. This isn't something that's behind a perspex glass. This is something that is really happening, and the potential of art, maybe not changing events, but changing people, giving them pause.
Wonderful.
For me, if I feel like we've given them a pause, I'll take that. I'll take that after 3 hours.
Brilliant.
Yeah. For me, I think it's not just for like the audience members that watch the show to give them pause is definitely like I said, we're not miraculously going to change someone's life, but is to leave that imprint on them. But also for us, as you said, that importance of knowing that you've changed. You're not the person that you were when you started this show. And that more courage, that strength, that different kind of strength that we're talking about all throughout, knowing that you have that within you.
Claiming your agency.
Claiming it. And in that, there is a unity within as actors, not just, global majority, but collectively. Something that we can use as a vehicle to keep, use it. That's,
I would like to say, Pamela, honestly, your incredible strength as a person, your unifying presence, it's taught me so much about how I can claim a space for myself without having to feel like I'm being meek or asking or being obsequious. say no. I want this,
Yes.
and I'm entitled to this.
Very true.
And I'm deserving
Very
of
true.
this.
I agree.
And thank you for being. We call you Queen, but honestly,
We do.
you're so
Thank
powerful.
you
We
for
appreciate
being
it.
such amazing
And helping to
brothers.
get this even up.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
This was well
Thank
needed.
you, though.